Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Kadash. All praises, honor, glory, love, respect, faith, and power, and trust, and all credit to my Heavenly Father Yahweh and my Heavenly Big Brother Yahweh Shah. Thank you so much for what you've done, what you're doing, and what you're going to do. Double honors to the apostles and elders and bishops of GMS, Great Millstone, who I learned from, and all the men scattered all over the world, teaching this truth and none but the truth in the name, spirit, and the power of Yahweh Shema Shah. Trying to put a spiritual bug in you Hebrew Israelites' ears, you so-called blacks, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, Seminole Indians, and you speckled birds. And what is a speckled bird? That'd be a Hebrew Israelite that look like some of the heathen nations, like for example, a Hebrew Israelite that look like a so-called white person, or so-called Chinese person, etc., etc. Got some videos lined up on conflicts in the world when it's talking about war. Anyway, I'm going to play these videos. I'm going to get into the scripture my best ability, say whatever God say through spirit and power, Yahweh Shema Shah, the Holy Spirit, the Krahak, Dash, Lord, will be on me. I get it.
Welcome to the We On podcast. In this episode, we explore who truly controls Greenland, revealing how Danish sovereignty, local autonomy, American defense cooperation, natural resources, and economic dependence shape the island's uncertain path toward independence. Greenland is not a sovereign state, but a self-governing territory within the Kingdom of Denmark. It has its own parliament, known as the Inatsisartut, and its own flag, while the Danish monarch remains the formal head of state, representing the constitutional union between the two nations. The Self-Government Act of 2009 replaced the earlier Home Rule system and formally recognized Greenlanders as a distinct people under international law. It transferred control of areas including the police.
A lot of them folks, they're Israelites. You consider them so-called Native Indians. But anyway,
courts and Coast Guard from Copenhagen to the local government in Nuuk. Despite this broad autonomy, Denmark continues to control foreign affairs, national security and defense under the Danish constitution. Major international treaties are handled by the Danish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, although Greenland is consulted on matters that directly affect the Arctic. Defense is also shared with the United States under the Defense of Greenland Treaty signed in 1951. This agreement allows the American military to operate the Pituffik Space Base, formerly known as Thule, as part of North American security arrangements, with little Danish involvement in its daily operations. Another major change introduced in 2009 gave Greenland ownership of its underground natural resources. The local government now controls mining and drilling licenses and hopes revenue from rare earth minerals could support greater economic independence. However, the island still depends heavily on an annual Danish subsidy known as the Block Grant. Denmark transfers about 3.9 billion Danish kroner, roughly £450 million each year, covering close to half of Greenland's public budget. The current legal framework allows Greenland to become fully independent if a simple majority of its population votes in favor. Independence would end the Danish subsidy immediately, making economic self-sufficiency the main obstacle to complete sovereignty. Thanks for tuning into this incredible story. If this episode resonated with you, don't...
Tools from Harbor Freight are doing...
We now have one of the last warning signs you're going to see before big war pops off, and that is when they tell Americans around the world to get ready to flee. This is being issued by multiple U.S. embassies, putting out a stark alert, specifically over the issue with Iran. It's being said that this thing is going to spiral out of control here within the week, and that it could begin at any moment. The U.S. is promising that they're going to pound Iran harder than they've ever hit them. It's going to be from the U.S. and Israel this time. So people should get ready for all of this. There are no talks. Everything is getting shut down, all these routes around the world, and they've rigged the prices here, as I've shown, to make everyday Americans think everything is fine. They're lackadaisical. They're not realizing that there is a shortage on things. Well, this warning now goes out to 10 countries: the UAE, Qatar, Oman, Iraq, Jordan, Israel, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and most recently, Egypt. They feel any one of these places could get hit hard. We've seen last time Israel itself got hit by hypersonics. They're announcing they're going to be in the mix this time. So this is a security alert issued advising travelers to exercise heightened vigilance and to be prepared for flight cancellations and airspace closures. So if you know anyone that's in any of these areas, I'd advise to reach them, really seriously talk about getting to a safe place or getting out now, because once the bombs start flying and things are canceled, there's no turning back. So again, they're telegraphing the largest bombardment yet, and they're going to hit energy infrastructure in Iran. The blowback is not going to be good. Iran is saying they're going to hit our energy infrastructure in the region. the U.S. has been pulling troops and equipment out of certain places, which is interesting as well, because they know it's going to get wiped out. But what happens when the grid goes down here in America? You better be ready, because blowback is going to happen.
Suck. I had a yarn, man. Yeah, let me see. Let's get to the next one.
The United States government is now planning to wargame and simulate a large-scale mobilization, a military draft. According to new reporting today from the Military Times, there are new plans in the works for the United States Selective Service System to create a computer simulation to test scenarios for its national mobilization. It's called the Readiness Simulation Project. And while it comes just months before the U.S. government is preparing to change the way it does its registration system, because under a new proposed rule starting in December of this year, anyone between the age of 18 to 26 and 27 will be automatically registered into the Selective Service. The Selective Service will work off of data from other federal databases to do this. And so now they're putting out a request for vendors to submit simulation models by August 14th, according to the Military Times. And the goal is simple: a computer simulation to test exactly how the United States government would carry out a national mobilization of American manpower just months before the government begins automatically registering all men between the ages of 18 and 26 for the military draft. I'll have more updates for you soon. Spread the word. Follow for more. And not for the military draft, but for...
I guess that simulation probably simulate either possibly resistance of of a draft. Well, anyway, yeah, they about to, yeah, 'cause World War III about to pop off. Shit. Well, it's already popping off, but I mean, it's gonna get more, how you say, more intense.
So it's the weekend now and markets are closed, and you know what that means. It's time to start bombing. So this is the headlines from the Wall Street Journal. Trump orders fresh attack on Iran. U.S. officials say the attacks could begin as soon as this weekend, because again, that's what we do on weekends apparently.
After months of fighting in Iran, America's stockpile of missile defense interceptors is shrinking so much that military planners are weighing whether they can continue the current cycle of limited retaliatory strikes. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, using open source budget numbers, estimates U.S. Patriot interceptor inventories have fallen from roughly 2,300 pre-war to fewer than 827, while THAAD interceptors have dropped from 452 to fewer than 278. CSIS warns rebuilding those stockpiles could take 3 years or more.
So we actually talked about it before a couple days ago on the channel, but the fact that they're talking about it as well shows there's definitely some pushback over at Fox and maybe some split among the Republicans. But this is the question I posed to you, is like, how long can we keep doing the cycle of, okay, markets are open, I promise a peace deal, okay, markets are closed, I'm going to attack again? I mean, is this really going to be any different this time?
The last visit was with Eisenhower, where they allowed you onto the actual campus, and it's a long time ago, but never into this room.
Right, you get the idea. And then how to say it, this is why Trump picks Fox TV hosts and Fox TV people to all be a part of his cabinet, because they're making a TV show, and he was like, oh, look how great of a job I'm doing as president. You get an inside look of our meeting room, right, and see the people that you see every day anyway.
Iran, Mr. President, you said they do have some capabilities left. Should Americans be prepared for these back and forth attacks to continue until Iran simply isn't able of striking back?
They'll get weaker. They'll get a little stronger maybe now, but they'll get weaker, and then they peter out. Yeah, sure. I think so. It would be foolish to say no. You always have to keep your guard up.
What is the status of talks? Who from the administration
Well,
is talking to the
talk,
Iran?
but they break their word so often. Steve is talking. Jared, we have very good people. JD's involved, very strongly involved. We have great people talking. Marco's involved.
Because they say talks aren't happening.
Very good people. We have the best people, but they'll make a deal. As an example, we'll talk about nuclear, and we'll be in there talking about nuclear for 7 hours. I say, why do you need 7? You can take 10 minutes. You have 5 minutes. You should solve it. But 7 hours, and then they'll go out, and I'll say they discuss nuclear, and they'll go out and they'll say, we never discussed nuclear. And I'll say, why do they say that? All they do is make me angry. They just make me angry.
So apparently Trump is angry, and that was actually been reported, that he's frustrated, that he's mad that Iran is crazy in his words. All this stuff is always feel like he's talking about himself. So there's that. Hegseth is then going to tell you that we have the best negotiators in the world. That's coming directly from Hegseth. Fantastic. Referring to Wickoff and Kushner, right? The son-in-law, the real estate buddy, and Rubio, etc. Just look at people's faces, and that tells you all you need to know. Because they know he's saying whacked out stuff. I mean, I see like kind of one guy here, he's kind of looking off, like, okay, what's going on?
Oh, you need to know what the fuck. They look lost as hell.
Is he still talking? I mean, and you actually see this a lot in the cabinet meetings where it's kind of like you're around the delusional, grandfather, grandmother, whoever, and you're just watching them go on and talking about nonsense, right? And you're okay, are you done yet? I want to have dinner, right? That kind of stuff. It's essentially what our U.S. government is.
I'm just exhausted by it all. It's so many fronts at the same time. I worry about how many fronts is too many fronts, right? You have a war in Russia and Ukraine. You have the Gaza. You have what's unfolding in Spain. Are we going to get pulled into that in some way?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What's going on in Spain? The migrants, they saying that the small hat people, Amalek, have something to do with that. Yep.
Like, we haven't settled trade deals with China yet. We're having issues with them on critical minerals. I mean, there are so many fronts that this president is doing an earnest and rightful way.
Can I respectfully push back? If you're exhausted
you can
after
disrespectfully.
Yeah, I'm not saying
permission to.
Listen, I said last week we have to do whatever it takes here, but I just like as Americans, we start.
If you're
it's overwhelming how many.
after 4 months, then we're not the superpower we thought we were.
I'm not. Listen, everyone, we got to go get back more wine and fresh horses for our men, as my dad likes to say. Right? This battle is not over until it's over.
And so then what they're going to do is like question your patriotism and stuff like, wow, you just don't love America if you don't want to do this endless war, right? It's actually really interesting to see the cult, the way that they talk to each other, you know, because I guess you feed the, how do you want to call it? We'll just say the language, let's call it that. You feed the language of we're the greatest country in the world. Everyone wants to be just like us and we can win any war, anytime. We can go bomb anyone, right? Everyone wants to be us after we bomb them. Wow, great strategy, right? And you start to realize like how much of this stuff is just a blatant lie. And I hope it's really clear on that.
To help them defend against Russian attacks. Of course, while they need Patriots urgently, there was also an ongoing conversation about them being able to build these systems themselves for licenses to go to Ukraine to produce these in country. We thought.
I'm gonna stop right here. If you want to watch, man, I can't even get my words out. If you want to watch the rest of this video, be my guest. They go to the title of the video. They go to the channel. Yeah, I gotta slow down with my speech. Let's see what this is about.
The Iran-US war continues to rage on, and in the latest, Iran's military has said that it has launched drone strikes against US facilities at Kuwait's Ahmed al-Jaber Air Base in retaliation for the recent attacks on its Qasem Island. Now, the alleged drone strikes by Iran were part of its 27th phase of Operation Lightning that has targeted the US fighter jet shelters, satellite communication systems, and equipment depots. The Iranian military has added that the base not only hosts a large number of US air and reconnaissance missions, but also serves as one of the key air logistical hubs for the US forces in the region. And further, the IRGC has also released images of its attack on Jordan's Al-Azraq Air Base. The image published by the IRGC came after the US Central Command claimed that it had intercepted all Iranian missiles and that no aircraft or equipment at the base had sustained damage. The retaliatory missile strike by the IRGC on the Al-Azraq Air Base in Jordan came after the United States used the base to carry out deadly attacks on residential homes on Iran's Qasem Island. Now, the IRGC has claimed that the missile attack destroyed about 3 American F-35 fighter jets, heavily damaged 3 more, and killed several US military personnel, including officers and maintenance staff. The IRGC satellite imagery at a time when the Trump administration had ordered San Francisco-based satellite firm Planet to temporarily restrict access to imagery related to the Iran war. In fact, the company has also announced...
Oh yeah, what was it? A couple of days ago, I think it was in San Diego, an F-35 crashed. I don't know if it crashed when it was taking off or crashed when it was landing. I don't know. I can't remember. I was going to play a video about it, but it was like, this shit is pretty old. It didn't really matter, but it crashed. Man, hey, there's American-made now jets and shit. They're looking pretty bad. This shit is crashing. Anyway, they're supposed to be known to be the best jets ever built, or for now. Well, anyway.
That it has temporarily reinstated a delay in releasing satellite imagery of Iran and 5 neighboring countries amidst the intensifying Iran war.
And you got Iran shooting them suckers down.
In an additional development, the US military has said that it has redirected 24 commercial vessels as part of its maritime blockade in the Strait of Hormuz. The CENTCOM has even disabled 2 ships and boarded 2 others to verify compliance with the blockade. The CENTCOM even released footage of the US Navy's P-8 Poseidon reconnaissance aircraft approaching a US Air Force K-135 Strato tanker for refueling. The US Navy P-8 Poseidon has been deployed over the disputed waters for patrolling purposes, and earlier in the day, Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi had warned of serious regional escalation following a drone strike on 2 vessels at the Damietta port on the Mediterranean coast. The Egyptian authorities are probing the Wednesday's drone attack on the US-owned Energos Winter and the Greek-owned LNG tanker Gaslock Salem. And Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli has said that the firefighters fought off the blaze for nearly 12 long hours under some pretty hazardous conditions. So as investigations continue, the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has described Egypt as an important friend and a partner, saying that Egypt's security is of utmost importance to Iran. Meanwhile, the United States Senate has rejected another war powers resolution aimed at restricting President Donald Trump's authority to continue military operations against Iran. And the measure has failed by a vote of 49 to 50, marking another unsuccessful attempt by the lawmakers to limit US military involvement in the conflict. For all the latest news,
it's trying. It's gonna get better. They got something that's way far better than this shit. This something for little kids, man. I feel like playing it just, just see what it can do, but it ain't doing much. But, these heathens got some shit that blow this shit out the water. Easily. And then wait till you see these motherfuckers out in the streets and beating the shit out of you Israelites. Mainly the 2/3.
After the Iran war exposed fresh gaps in U.S. strike planning, is Washington now eyeing a sci-fi bomber concept as the next possible replacement for the B-21? Could the Pentagon's next bomber really take off vertically with no runway at all? Or is this still just a radical concept on paper? Can this so-called rocket bomber actually replace America's deadliest B-21 Raider? Or is the idea still too experimental for real combat? Amid losses tied to the Iran war, is the U.S. now weighing a radical new bomber design for future long-range strikes? According to Militarny Eye, the U.S. Air Force is studying a vertical takeoff bomber as a possible alternative to the B-21 Raider. The report says the program is being developed for U.S. Air Force Global Strike Command, putting it squarely in America's long-range nuclear and strike architecture. The concept envisions a vertical takeoff, followed by a high-speed strike mission deep into enemy territory. The Air Force reportedly plans to select a winning design within 30 to 45 days after August 4th, moving the project quickly toward the next phase. The new bomber would take off vertically without needing a conventional runway, opening up far more launch options in future conflicts. It would be powered by a liquid fuel rocket engine, giving it a very different propulsion system from traditional bombers. The aircraft is being designed for long-range strike missions, where speed, reach, and surprise would matter most. After launch, it would accelerate into high-speed flight, turning a vertical liftoff into a fast strike profile. Once the mission is complete, it would return directly to base, without depending on a conventional airfield landing strip. The whole concept is being studied as an alternative to the B-21 Raider, not necessarily as a direct replacement. New Frontier Aerospace is currently seen as the leading candidate for the program, putting the company at the center of this futuristic bomber race. The company is also developing the Pathfinder unmanned aircraft for future testing, which could help prove whether the concept is actually viable. The U.S. Air Force also plans to study requirements for a future heavy bomber program in 2027, suggesting this effort is only the beginning. That review will also examine the future modernization of the B-52 Stratofortress, showing that the Air Force is thinking about both old and new bomber fleets. The project comes as Washington rebuilds missile stocks after months of Iran war operations, raising the question of whether America is preparing for a very different kind of next war. The US is now seeking billions of dollars to rebuild missile stocks after months of intense operations in the Iran war, reflecting how quickly modern conflicts drain high-end munitions. On July 31st, Bloomberg revealed that the Pentagon has submitted a new $67 billion emergency request, a package explicitly tied to the ongoing Iran conflict and its costs. Within that broader request, $18.2 billion has been earmarked to replace key missiles used during recent operations, focusing on the most advanced interceptors and cruise weapons. The funding plan has been formally submitted to U.S. Senate and House Defense Committees, signaling that Congress is now being asked to sign off on this rapid rearmament push. Bloomberg's report comes after months of U.S. strikes on Iranian targets and repeated defensive interceptions against incoming missiles and drones across the region. The Pentagon's shopping list includes about $5.75 billion dedicated just to THAAD interceptors, reflecting how heavily the high-altitude shield was relied on during the war. Another $5.57 billion are set aside for Patriot PAC-3 MSE missiles, the Army's frontline air defense rounds that have been fired repeatedly to stop Iranian attacks. Around $1.9 billion would go to Standard Missile-6 interceptors, a versatile Navy weapon used for both air and missile defense in contested waters. Some $1.3 billion is earmarked for new Tomahawk cruise missiles, replenishing the long-range strike inventory that has been used for precision hits on Iranian targets. A further $1 billion would fund SM-3 Block IIA interceptors, crucial for exo-atmospheric missile defense and increasingly central to US-led protection. About $992 million is allocated to AMRAAM air-to-air missiles, ensuring US fighter jets can continue to engage hostile aircraft and drones without worrying about shortages. The list also includes roughly $692 million for precision strike missiles, expanding the Army's ability to hit key ground targets at long range with conventional warheads.
Have you ever wanted to see your...
Well, anyway, that ad came up. But will all that missile defense stop those hypersonic missiles? Shit, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they won't. Next one.
Is the US Navy's biggest warship gamble now threatening its own future, as a massive nuclear surface fleet risks colliding with the service's long-term modernization plans? Could Trump's $700 billion nuclear bet end up crippling the entire US Navy, if it drains money and capacity from other critical shipbuilding priorities? Is Trump now eyeing a new generation of nuclear warships, even if that means putting submarine production under serious pressure? Will Trump's so-called super warship leave the US Navy exposed in the end, especially if it weakens the balance of the fleet? Is the Pentagon now facing a new defense dilemma between battleships and aircraft carriers, as naval power moves into a more uncertain future?
I don't know why they talking about Trump. Why, like Trump is making these decisions. Man, please. I don't know why they keep bringing that nigga up for, like he's the commander-in-chief, but he don't make these decisions. He ain't no specials when it comes to war, when the air, land, sea. Fuck no.
The US Navy's giant nuclear warship plan is now threatening its own fleet modernization drive, raising questions about whether the program is too big to fit the rest of the budget. According to Military Watch, the Navy's new BBG-X program could reshape future naval power, making it one of the most ambitious surface warship plans in years. The program envisions 15 nuclear-powered surface warships for future operations, creating a fleet unlike anything currently at sea. Analysts warned that the plan may strain America's already overburdened shipbuilding base, which is still struggling to keep up with current naval demand. The BBG-X program calls for a planned fleet of 15 nuclear-powered surface warships, making it one of the largest surface combatant programs in the world. Its estimated lifetime cost is around $700 billion, a staggering figure that could reshape the Navy's future budget priorities. That works out to roughly $46.6 billion in lifetime cost per ship, putting each vessel in an extremely expensive category. Each ship is estimated to displace between 35,000 and 41,000 tons, placing it among the heaviest warships ever planned. If built as described, these would be the largest surface combatants planned anywhere in the world, far bigger than most current destroyers. The US Navy officially launched the BBG-X concept in May 2026, giving the project formal momentum. Reports say the Navy still prioritizes Virginia and Columbia submarine production. So could this new warship plan pull resources away from those programs? Labor shortages and shipyard bottlenecks continue to slow US submarine production, making every new program harder to absorb. Lawmakers are now asking for details on how BBG-X will avoid disrupting existing building programs that are already under pressure. The program also competes directly with the next-generation DDG-X destroyer project, adding another layer of strain to the Navy's plans. Notably, DDG-X is expected to replace the aging Arleigh Burke destroyer fleet, making the competition for funding even more intense.
Harbor Freight Tool.
Well, since this came up, no commercials, move on to the next one. See what's going on with China.
Is she now striking back after massive US-led drills in China's backyard, using fresh air and sea patrols to send a pointed warning in contested waters? Is the South China Sea heating up again as Beijing ramps up combat patrols around a disputed shoal, signaling that China's patience with Manila may be running out? Is China now flexing a brand new frigate and JL-10 jet against a key US ally in contested waters, turning routine patrols into a strategic show of force? Has Xi's new air-sea combination finally arrived, with the PLA unveiling a fresh patrol force that blends warships and jets to tighten control around a disputed reef? China has stepped up combat patrols around Scarborough Shoal, as tensions with Manila escalate over who controls this highly contested patch of sea. Chinese forces say they activated full combat readiness on July 30th after spotting a Philippine aircraft near the shoal during their latest patrols. The PLA reported that the aircraft was detected while its units were carrying out readiness patrols around the contested Scarborough Shoal area. Scarborough Shoal remains claimed by both China and the Philippines, making every patrol and overflight a new flashpoint in the wider South China Sea dispute. China's Southern Theater Command deployed both naval vessels and air units around the disputed reef, signaling a joint air-sea posture rather than a simple patrol. During the latest mission, China deployed its new Type 054B frigate Qinju, using the modern warship as the centerpiece of the patrol force around the shoal. The PLA also used the JL-10 jet during a readiness patrol here for the first time, marking the aircraft's debut in frontline air-sea operations over Scarborough Shoal. The JL-10 is an advanced trainer aircraft, but it also carries a secondary combat role, allowing it to switch quickly from instruction to operational missions. It can perform both patrol and ground attack missions, giving commanders a flexible platform that can surveil, warn, and strike if required. Analysts say it is better suited for dealing with slower surveillance or government aircraft, which often cruise well below typical fighter speeds. The jet's strong low-speed handling makes it ideal for interception duties, letting it escort or push back propeller-driven planes without overshooting them. As a trainer, the JL-10 can operate from a wider range of airfields, helping China project air control from more bases across distant maritime areas. Overall, the aircraft is being used to strengthen China's distant maritime patrols, tightening air management and control over far-flung sea zones. At the same time, the Chinese Coast Guard carried out law enforcement patrols around the shoal, reinforcing the military presence with police-style actions at sea. China said multiple Philippine vessels were spotted, warned, and ordered to leave, with Coast Guard ships using loudspeakers and maneuvers to push them out. This latest confrontation comes on the heels of massive drills held by the US and its Asian allies, turning the shoal into a stage for competing power shows. Amid rising tensions between China and Taiwan, the United States and its Asian allies have just wrapped up a massive set of joint drills in the South China Sea, underscoring their shared concerns about Beijing's behavior. The US, Japan, and the Philippines ended a major 5-day maritime exercise on July 25th, after operating together at sea from July 21st to 25th. These drills brought together warships, Coast Guard vessels, fighter jets, and surveillance aircraft, forming a multi-layered joint force across the contested waters. The Philippine military said the exercises were focused on improving allied interoperability, ensuring the three forces can operate seamlessly in any future crisis. The drills mark the latest expansion of trilateral security cooperation in the region, part of a broader pattern of increasingly frequent and complex joint activities.
We extend our sincere appreciation for the successful conduct of today's 17th Multilateral Mutual Cooperative Activity. Your teamwork, precision, and cooperation greatly contributed to the success of our engagement. It was an honor to train alongside you. We look forward to more opportunities to sail and train together as nations striving for the rule of law and freedom of navigation.
Alright, let's stop right there. Let's see on this video. This is new. God damn it, come on, bro. I want to see
My
this
son drives
shit.
a Hyundai. Okay, he texted me a pic of when he filled up his gas tank. It was $80.
For nearly 80 years, Japan followed a simple principle, one of pacifism. After its defeat in World War II, Japan officially renounced the idea of war. It is even written in their post-war constitution. But this week, something changed. A Japanese warship sailed into the Pacific Ocean. It opened its missile bay and fired a US-made Tomahawk land attack missile, a weapon designed for deep strikes. This marks the first time Japan has fired a Tomahawk. So what is driving this change from pacifism? The answer lies in Japan's neighborhood. Our next report tells you more.
On the 29th of July, the Japanese warship JS Chokai sailed into the Pacific Ocean. It opened its missile hatch and fired a missile. At first it looked like an ordinary cruise missile. However, a day after the test launch, Japan confirmed that it had fired a Tomahawk missile from its warship. According to the Japanese Ministry of Defense, the missile struck its designated target successfully. This marks the first time Japan has fired a Tomahawk. It was carried out with support from the US Navy. And this was no ordinary exercise, because the Tomahawk represents something Japan has always tried to avoid, the power to carry out long-range attacks. The Tomahawk is a long-range cruise missile. It's been specifically designed to carry out deep precision strikes. It's been used...
Old, outdated. Should be time for a replacement, but yeah.
Used in several combat zones, including in Iraq, Syria, and now in Iran. The missile can navigate long distances with a range of about 1,600 kilometers. It flies at
how fast is it?
Low altitude to evade detection from radars, and is operated by only a handful of countries, which includes the US, the UK, the Netherlands, Australia, and Japan. Among the operators, Tokyo procured the weapon only recently. In 2024, Japan signed a contract to purchase up to 400 Tomahawks. As per the deal, Japan is expected to receive all its missiles by 2028. When the deal was signed, Japanese warships weren't configured to fire the Tomahawk, so Tokyo began modifying some of its destroyers, like the JS Chokai, which carried out the first launch this week. It took Japan roughly 5 months to make the warship capable of firing the Tomahawk. Meanwhile, work is underway on other warships, including the JS Kirishima, the JS Kongo, and the JS Mayoko. However, the Tomahawk is only part of the story. Reports suggest Japan is also building its own long-range air-launched weapons, including a homegrown stealth cruise missile. And here's why this matters. For decades, Japan's military posture has been largely defensive. Even its armed forces aren't officially called Army, Navy, and Air Force. Instead, they're named Self-Defense Forces. So why is Japan changing this? Well, because of its neighborhood. To the west, you have China. Beijing has rapidly expanded its navy and its missile stockpiles. Chinese military activity has drastically increased around Taiwan and Japan. Beijing and Tokyo also have a territorial dispute over their Senkaku Islands. If you look northwest of Japan, you see North Korea. Pyongyang has increased its missile tests. Some have even flown over Japanese territory. And then there's Russia. Russian military activity has increased in the Pacific. Moscow and Tokyo also have a long-standing territorial dispute over 4 Russian-controlled islands called the Kuril Islands, which Japan calls its northern territories. So as Japan looks around its neighborhood today, it's not completely abandoning its pacifist approach, but it is preparing for any future threats, because geography does not always respect those pacifist principles. To believe that if a war ever broke out in Europe, they would stay united and fight the adversary as one team. Then Donald Trump walked into the White House for a second time and threw that script out of the window.
Whatever, anyway. It's like, damn, I don't want to watch no damn documentary. What it seemed like to me. What is this?
Vladimir Putin's latest strike on a US-owned drone factory in Kiev is being cast as a stark message to the West. Military analysts are now decoding the reasoning behind the attack on the US-owned facility, arguing that Moscow...
Wasn't that where, no. Well, I want to say, wasn't that where, what's that nigga name? Lindsey Graham was at? Or after he was, I don't know if he was there or left. Anyway, they still ain't talked about how he died. If it was really a heart attack, but whatever.
Wants to deter foreign defense firms from producing high-end weapons for Ukraine on its own territory. The rhetoric suggests a challenge to Zelensky. Russia is saying Ukraine can't simply hide behind America. With this overnight hit on Terminal Autonomy's plant, Western weapons manufacturers are effectively on notice that their operations in Ukraine may be treated...
Dude is a Jake, man. This nigga here walk with... Look how he walk. I know it's not got nothing to do with a war, but look how Putin walks.
Ukraine can't simply hide...
I just put it on normal speed.
...behind America. With this overnight hit on Terminal Autonomy's plant, Western weapons manufacturers...
Look how he walk, like...
are effectively on notice that their operations in Ukraine may be treated as legitimate targets.
Yeah, man. Dude walk, he swings with one arm, like, I don't know, I mean, you don't swing, like, overswing with his arms, but he swing with confidence.
Russia's decision to strike a factory in Kiev owned by a U.S. corporation has raised eyebrows across capitals, as it appears to be the first time Moscow has deliberately hit infrastructure belonging to an American defense tech company in the war. A Russian military expert quoted by Sputnik has described the strike as a game changer, arguing that it signals a new phase in which foreign-owned defense plants become fair game. During its late July barrage, Russia struck the Terminal Autonomy facility in Kiev, hitting a major site for the production of AI-guided deep strike drones used by Ukrainian forces. Kiselyov said, and I quote, "Russia has made it clear that for Ukraine, hiding behind the American flag no longer works, and that any facility producing weapons used to kill our soldiers becomes a legitimate target, regardless of where its owner is registered. And the next such factory, wherever it is located, will suffer the same fate." End quote.
The next level is here. When America's #1 nicotine pouch brand goes...
Terminal Autonomy is registered in Delaware and produces AI-guided loitering munitions and precision strike drones, systems already in active use against Russian assets on the Ukrainian front lines. Kiselyov warned that after the Terminal Autonomy strike, Western companies must understand they themselves are potential targets if they manufacture weapons used to attack Russian forces, no matter where their headquarters sit on paper. The attack on the U.S. drone factory came as Russia was launching broader barrages across Ukraine, and at the same time the U.S. appeared to backtrack on its promise to let Kiev build Patriot interceptors, adding another twist to the Western support debate. In a Financial Times interview, Trump said he was not sure whether the U.S. would actually grant Ukraine the license to produce Patriot missiles, signaling that the decision is far from settled. These developments were reported by the...
This nigga just can't stop it, man. This nigga here is such a stalker. Stalking brothers, asking the same bullshit. What is that? Bullshit argument. Same shit about virgin birth. Anyway.
Financial Times on July 30th, quoting the U.S. president directly and putting on record...
Meanwhile, World War III is going on and is intensifying. All the prophecies are pretty much... They ain't hear it fully, But they showing up like the chip implant. Anyway, my point is that all these prophecies are happening. Things are building up. This nigga here still stuck on virgin birth, harassing brothers, hunting them down from sea to sea, land to land. Shit. Goddamn nigger.
His hesitation over giving Kiev access to this technology. Trump told the FT that the Patriot is a very extraordinary weapon, and that Washington has to be a little bit careful of who we license to, framing his caution as a matter of technology control. Just weeks earlier, on July 10th, Trump had told reporters that the U.S. would give Kiev the right to make Patriots, a public statement that Ukrainian officials welcomed as a major...
Whatever. Let's get to the next one.
The United States may have just reshaped the strategic landscape of West Asia. Washington's civilian nuclear agreement with Saudi Arabia is being projected as an energy partnership. But across the region, it is also raising some far bigger questions. Is this a step towards stability or the beginning of a whole new nuclear race? Take a look at this report.
Iran is being bombarded for the past 5 months. The US says it can never allow Iran to have a nuclear program. But Washington is now making a nuclear...
But what about Russia and China? You ain't going after them. They got nukes. Or what about North Korea? They got nukes. Anyway.
...deal with Saudi Arabia. What is being presented as a civilian nuclear agreement could end up redrawing the strategic map of West Asia. Right now, in the region, there is only one nuclear power. Israel has 90 nuclear bombs as per the latest report of SIPRI.
See, them niggas got nukes. But nobody else around them are not allowed to have nukes. And you know why. Because they wanted to... These gutter rats want to attack them. And them damn nukes are used for a line of defense to show that, hey, you fuck with us, we'll let one of these bitches fly on your ass. Yeah.
Though officially, Israel has never accepted having a nuclear weapon. Now the US...
And another thing, these niggas got possession of 90 nuclear bombs, probably more than that. But where that in the Bible where it say the chosen people have access to weapons of mass destruction? Hell, they supposed to be considered the weapons of mass destruction, you know, especially with the Lord changing his people in a twinkling of an eye, like turning them into gods and such. That shit ain't happening with these damn rats. These niggas have possession over nuclear bombs. Come on, man. All these weapons of warfare are supposed to be destroyed. From a gun all the way to a nuclear bomb. Heck yeah, let me get to that. I was going to wait to the end of getting to the scriptures because I didn't know the best time to... Because everything is, I won't say mixed up, but I just didn't know when it was the best time to get into it. I'll wait to the end. But let me only read this one. Isaiah chapter 2 verse 4. And he shall judge among the nations and shall rebuke many people. That's Yahweh Shah checking these nations. And they shall beat their swords and the plowshares and their spears and their pruning hoods. They're supposed to be turning all their weapons of warfare that's made out of metal into gardening tools. Yep, from a shovel to a hoe to a axe to a sledgehammer to something. Some of the break stones, cultivate the land and such. Anyway, but they ain't doing that right now. They supposed to be doing that. But that show you them damn rats over there claim to be Israel, the Hebrew Israelite. They ain't the Hebrew Israelite, the Hebrew Edomites. That's who they truly are. But anyway, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. What does that sound like? It sounds like those people are not the people. The people in they are in our land. Shit. But the Lord, hey, with all the nukes they have, there's gonna be a bunch of nukes coming down on their ass, and goddamn eliminate these motherfucking rats, exterminate these motherfuckers.
Has never accepted.
Yeah, that sound harsh. I don't give a fuck. That what the Lord gonna do? He's gonna exterminate a bunch of them motherfuckers.
Having a nuclear weapon. Now the US has signed a civilian nuclear deal with Saudi Arabia aimed at helping the kingdom develop nuclear energy.
Yeah, some of them rats are up in here in Saudi Arabia. What they said, it was a Jerusalem Post. It was an old article. Oh, let me see. The Saudi Crown Prince is a small hat. The Saudi Crown Prince is Jewish. Jerusalem Post. Well, here you go, right here. Saudi royal family are descendants of Jews. Well, really ain't Jews, but anyway, who fought Muhammad Iranian general, and there's an Iranian general coming out saying this about these niggas. Yeah, he got a small head. He got a beanie underneath that towel. Yeah, he got you got Esau putting his seed in all kind of. He got his seed scattered in all these damn countries, nations. Yeah, so he's an Amalekite. He got a small hat or a beanie underneath that towel. Yeah, he's a baby dick sucker, a foreskin eater.
As part of its long-term economic diversification plans.
I think he won too.
But the announcement has triggered immediate concerns in Israel.
Speaking of small hat people, baby dick suckers, foreskin eaters.
Israeli political leaders warn that the agreement could bring Saudi Arabia closer to developing a nuclear weapons capability if the right safeguards are not in place. Donald Trump attempted to calm those fears. The US president claimed the deal would bar Saudi Arabia from enriching uranium and would require Riyadh to normalize relations with Israel. Israel welcomed that statement, calling it a boost for the Abraham Accords.
We didn't talk about it, but it was always understood, and Chris knew, and Saudi Arabia knew, that if they didn't join the Abraham Accords, the deal's not, I'm not going to do the deal.
So then why did you sign it? Senator John...
Because they understood that in order, subject to Congress and everything else, in order for that deal to go through, they had to sign into the Abraham Accords.
But there is a problem. Neither the official US announcement nor Saudi Arabia's statement mentioned either uranium enrichment restrictions or normalization with Israel. And so far, Riyadh has not publicly endorsed Trump's claims. In fact, Saudi Arabia has repeatedly stated that normalization with Israel remains unlikely without meaningful progress towards a Palestinian state.
A new agreement on nuclear energy between the United States of America and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is a breakthrough agreement on nuclear power. From the Israeli point of view, it affects the arms race, nuclear arms race in the Middle East. It creates precedents about proliferation of, or possibly
Let's get to the next one. Another robot. This nigga got a backpack. He's not just an expert at being an electrician. He also can do front flips. He's acrobatic. And he can do backflips. Shit. And he can kill people too with guns, just like these little kids or children, young adults.
Russia is rewriting what it means to be a teenager in wartime. More than half of all 9th graders are now choosing vocational colleges over finishing school. For young men who go, their one military deferment goes with them. The education system is reshaped, and a generation is...
Man, these little youngsters, they can be able to disassemble an AK-47 in seconds with their bare hands, just like that, and reassemble it just like that. I've seen videos of that, girls and boys. They're like pop, 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 and then put them back together.
It's quietly funneled toward the front. The classroom is changing, so are the consequences.
Yeah, they know. It's so funny. They know the times they living in. These niggas know what time it is. Over here in America, these motherfuckers don't know shit. They just like that's how they acting, like a bunch of dumbasses. Just They getting their children ready, the young adults ready for war. Heck yeah. Shit, and hey, in America, they getting ready to draft these mother suckers. But they ain't getting ready for no war. Now, they getting ready for war when they catch people off guard. That's what they doing. They get you ready for war, but they first gonna catch your ass off guard. You don't see that shit coming. When they start drafting people, snatching people off the streets. And I don't know... They keep talking about some 18 years and talking about the age can go up higher and higher. I think it's up to 35 or for a draft, automatic draft. I don't know. Go up to 40. Hell, it can go up. Hell, it can drop down from 18 to 15-year-old. It can go down even lower than that. Go to 12 years old. When you hit puberty, then it's time for your ass to go out into that battlefield and die for your punk ass country. Fuck that shit. I'm gonna die for Yahweh Shemal Shah if I have to.
Russia is witnessing a significant overhaul in its education system, with growing numbers of teenagers choosing vocational colleges over completing the final 2 years of secondary school. According to Russia's high...
Them things on his ears, they supposed to have, well, you don't have to wear them with batteries, but sometimes it's good to have batteries on them. Or batteries in them so you can hear.
School of Economics 2022, the first year of Moscow's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, marked the first time that more than half of...
You need to have his headset underneath the hoodie, so it can still up over his ears better.
All 9th grade students, 50.4%, opted for vocational colleges instead of continuing into 10th grade. The share has continued to rise ever since. The BBC's Russian service reports that Russian authorities are actively encouraging this trend. In Moscow, students applying to vocational colleges after 9th grade are now required to sit only 2 examinations on the OGE, the standardized test taken at the end of 9th grade instead of the usual 4. They only take Russian language and mathematics. Senior officials, including Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin, State Duma Speaker Vyacheslav Volodin, and the Labour Ministry, have all publicly highlighted the country's growing demand for blue-collar workers. Schools are also increasingly steering pupils towards vocational education.
This is part of vocational education, right? Instead of studying mechanics and engineering, how to build stuff. Hell, when I was in high school, they had us building stools for home ec, or not home ec, what that shit, wood shop class, building fucking stools and some kind of crap. I don't know what the fuck this shit was, like candle holder. And then we built like some kind of a soap box, CO2. It was a CO2. You hook the CO2 back to this little soap box thing and rock it, or what? It was like a dragster. And I'm like, man, that ain't shit. These motherfuckers teaching them how to shoot guns.
While for the first time in...
Teaching them trigger discipline. Teaching them how to put what is it? What is that shit called? Put a tourniquet on. Tourniquet on.
2026, Russia's social media platform VKontakte reportedly carried more posts promoting colleges than universities. Students can still enter university after completing vocational college, but the BBC says that route has become more difficult. Since 2025, college graduates are allowed to bypass Russia's unified state exam only if they apply for a university course closely related to their vocational qualification. Unlike secondary schools, vocational colleges do not specifically prepare students for the entrance examination. For young men, the decision may carry another consequence. Russia allows only one educational deferment from compulsory military service after secondary school. Students who use that deferment while attending vocational college cannot use it again later, meaning graduates may still be drafted, and, according to the BBC, conscripts are often pressured into signing contracts with the Defence Ministry. Meanwhile, many schools are reducing places in the 10th and 11th grades. Under education reforms introduced in 2022, schools must create specialised classes focused on particular subjects. However, many schools reportedly lack the teachers and resources to offer multiple specialist tracks. As a result, some students are left without their preferred subjects and choose or are forced to leave after 9th grade.
We selected the students for the specialised classes, and then the parents started stomping their feet and saying, "We'll go to the prosecutor's office." And the school is forced to take the kids. We ended up with bloated classes. 2/3 of the kids aren't ready for the track, and the kids who want to learn are the ones who suffer. In the end, it's impossible to work, impossible to provide a decent level of education.
Although Russian law guarantees every child access to a full secondary education, families facing these obstacles are increasingly turning to homeschooling and private online schools.
Alright, anyway, I ain't gonna play all this shit. If you wanna watch the rest of it, they go to the title of the video, they go to the channel. Let's move on to the next one.
Cis Edmund in love? It can only be PRTG.
Russia responded to Kiev with ballistic missiles in the early hours of Saturday, killing at least about 9 people and injuring 28 others, including 4 children. This is according to Ukrainian officials. More than a dozen explosions shook the Ukrainian capital as the missile struck multiple locations across the city. Firefighters raced to extinguish the blaze in damaged buildings while rescue teams searched through the debris for survivors. Footage from the scene showed charred buildings, burnt-out vehicles and also emergency workers carrying body bags away from the strike sites.
It seemed as though we would spend the night in peace, but suddenly reports of ballistic missiles started coming in. As there was little time, my family and I headed for the nearest shelter, which was just the bathroom.
The attack also dealt a major blow to Kiev's emergency response capabilities. The municipal transport facilities serving the city's emergency medical services were struck, destroying or damaging around 24 ambulances and other medical vehicles. The strike has come just 2 days after a suspected Russian cruise missile landed in Poland during another large-scale attack on Ukraine, raising some fresh concerns about the risk of the war spilling beyond the Ukrainian borders. Kiev has come under increasingly frequent missile attacks in recent months, with Russia stepping up its use of ballistic missiles that are far more difficult to intercept. Now, Ukraine has repeatedly warned that its limited air defense capabilities are struggling to keep pace with the growing threat.
Another attack on the city of Kyiv was mainly carried out using ballistic missiles. We have reported damage in 5 districts of our city. As of this moment, we have information that 9 civilians in our city have been killed. 17 people have been hospitalized.
Now, even as missiles rain down in Kiev, both sides have continued to target each other's military and energy infrastructure. Russia on Friday said that its forces struck a bulk carrier south of Odessa that it claimed was transporting military cargo, along with port-related facilities, an oil refinery in Odessa and a logistical hub in Ukraine's Dnipropetrovsk region used to store military supplies and drones. The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, meanwhile, has said that the Ukrainian forces carried out some long-range strikes inside of Russia, targeting logistical centers in places such as Sarapol, Kazan and Volgograd, as well as some maritime terminals in Krasnodar and an oil refinery in the Volgograd region. And we earlier spoke with Professor Peter Kuznick, who is a professor of history and director of nuclear studies at the Institute of American University, on the issue. Listen to what he had to say.
I think this is a response to Ukraine's strikes inside of Russia. Putin is sending the message that Russia will not be intimidated and will not be defeated. I know from friends in Crimea that they are suffering badly as a result of Ukraine's new offensive, but Russia is sending the message that even though it's hurting our economy and our energy infrastructure, Russia is going to intensify its attacks against Ukraine. And what we see now is that Ukraine does not have the interceptors that it needs to shoot down Russia's ballistic missiles. Last night, Russia launched 27 ballistic missiles, mostly at Kyiv, and the Ukrainians were only able to shoot down 1 of the 27.
Yeah, they must have been hypersonic.
So Ukraine is largely defenseless right now, and they keep on appealing to the United States and the Europeans for more air defense systems.
It's draining, it's draining the United States and what do you say, Europe, or I guess Britain, whatever. They missile defense or missiles. Yeah, it's draining out their resources and such. Oh well.
The United States is facing a lethal strategic nightmare in West Asia as Iran has unleashed an upgraded missile arsenal directly targeting the American military bases, reportedly guarded by Chinese tech and refined by Russian combat tactics. Tehran's new strike methods are overwhelming the advanced US air defenses. And our next report tells you more about the raging battleground of West Asia.
The US has the world's most powerful military, but even the strongest military can face a problem when the enemy learns from every attack. Iran has been doing exactly that. Every missile launch reveals what works, every interception reveals what fails, and every strike gives Tehran new data. The result is a missile force that is changing rapidly. Iran's missiles are no longer simply being fired in huge numbers and hoping some get through. The tactics are becoming smarter, Iran is increasingly combining different types of missiles and drones in coordinated attacks. Some weapons fly low, others arrive at different speeds and from different directions. The aim is simple: overwhelm the defenses, force radar systems to track multiple threats, and make American interceptors choose which targets to engage first. This is where China's role becomes important. According to Western intel, China has long supplied Iran with military technology and missile-related expertise. Now, reports suggest that Tehran could receive hundreds of Chinese-made shoulder-launched air defense missiles. These weapons could threaten low-flying American aircraft and helicopters. Trump says he would be quite disappointed if she sells weapons to Iran.
They've been doing that. They've been doing that shit for about a year or two, maybe longer than that. Oh, he's disappointed. What the fuck? And meanwhile, you're giving weapons to Ukraine to help Russia. To fight against Russia. Shut up, nigga. This is war. This is war, and I love it. Yeah. Nigga here crying, oh, I'm mad at you guys, they ain't fair. You giving weapons. Anyway.
President Xi told you that China would not give or sell Iran any weapons. And there's a new report that Iran's about to get 400 rocket launchers from China going through Pakistan to Iran.
Well, that would be surprising. Things like that happen, but that would be surprising. He told me very strongly he wouldn't partake, and he knows I'd be quite disappointed.
But the bigger Chinese contribution may be knowledge. Iran has studied Chinese missile technology for years, and Beijing has watched how modern wars are fought. Russia brings another advantage: battlefield experience. The war in Ukraine has become a laboratory for modern warfare. Russia has learned how to use drones, missiles, and electronic warfare together. It has also seen how Western air defense systems respond under sustained attack. Iran is watching, and it appears to be adapting. Multiple reports say Iranian missiles have become significantly more accurate, with improvements in guidance and targeting. Iran's new methods are helping improve the precision of its missile arsenal.
I think the Iranian regime can make a more credible claim. It's survived as a regime. It has been able to impose this complete closure of the Strait of Hormuz despite all the forces railed against it. And, it's been to hold off the United States. And what we have seen now is the United States really doesn't have any viable military option, or at least one that is conscionable, to take on Iran. It doesn't want to do a land invasion, it doesn't want to put boots on the ground, so it has actually limited military options.
Now this could explain why America's traditional advantage is becoming harder to maintain. US bases across West Asia are heavily defended. They have Patriot systems, they have fighter aircraft, they have radar and electronic warfare.
Joel chapter 3 verse 9, proclaim me among the Gentiles, wake up the mighty, proclaim me among the Gentiles, prepare a war, wake up the mighty men, let all of, I don't know why I'm saying a word that's not even there. I'm just skipping stuff. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up, beat their plowshares and the swords and their pruning hooks and the spears, let the weak say I'm strong. And as Iran, plus China and Russia becoming a guard for Iran, helping them out with weapons. And they whooping that ass on America and Israel and those other allies and such. And yeah.
But no defense can guarantee.
Yeah, they whooping their ass. I ain't looking for I ain't trying to support or root for the Iranians. Hell no. I'm just enjoying the fact that a nation like Iran kicking America's butt. Damn, that's all I like to see. But whatever, they all gonna lose when the Lord returns.
That every missile or drone will be stopped. Iran does not need to destroy every American base. It only needs to create enough damage to raise the cost of US operations. That is the strategy.
Making it more expensive for America to keep fighting.
Make every sortie more dangerous. Make every base more vulnerable. Force Washington to spend billions defending against each new wave. And this is where Trump faces his double trouble.
We have never allowed, and we will never allow the United States to determine when there is war or peace. We will defend ourselves whenever our interests require it, whenever our circumstances require it, whenever we believe we can use diplomacy as a tool to safeguard our national interests. We will certainly use it as such.
Iran is developing its own battlefield experience. China can provide weapons and technology. Russia can offer lessons from a war that has already tested modern missiles and drone tactics. Together, they could help Tehran become a much harder target. Trump shrugs off the concern, but hints he would raise the issue with his Russian counterpart.
We'll find out eventually. I'll ask Putin about it. We'll find out. It hasn't had much impact because we've knocked the hell out of them. They have no navy, they have no nothing, so it hasn't worked out well. I don't think they've been doing it, certainly not at a high level. And if they have, it has been very unimpactful.
For US military, the challenge is no longer simply stopping Iranian missiles. It is stopping an entire ecosystem of military learning, because every time Iran attacks, it learns. And if China and Russia keep helping Tehran improve, the next Iranian missile barrage may be more precise, more coordinated, and much harder to stop. That is the real danger. The missile may be Iranian, but the lessons behind it could come from much further away.
Is it really peace and safety, or has World War III expanded? Just yesterday, a Russian nuclear-capable warhead exploded inside of Poland, leaving behind a massive crater and sending fighter jets into the air. Now there's fears that there could be a direct confrontation between NATO and Russia. Across the Middle East, Iran, the United States, and Saudi Arabia are exchanging new strikes, while China is supplying weapons to Iran, breaking their promise to Trump. And now in Italy, Italian prosecutors are warning that the mafia is trying to obtain sophisticated weapons that were lost in the Ukrainian war. And in the meantime, over in Israel, the Sanhedrin is petitioning God about the identity of the Messiah and also when they can build their third temple. And it doesn't end there. President Trump is hailing a new peace agreement in Gaza. So we're hearing about promises of peace, but is sudden destruction about to fall? Hey everyone, it's Dina Kalmeta here. And today we're going to examine the headlines, look at the 6 signs on how World War III is expanding, and what exactly is going on with the mafia. An object that crashed into a field in Poland was a Russian missile capable of carrying nuclear warheads. Poland's Deputy Minister of National Defense said that the Kh-101 cruise missile exploded as it landed in the east of the country in the early hours of Thursday. He described the missile as potentially very dangerous. There were no injuries or damage in the shocking incident, which risks deepening icy tensions with Moscow and NATO. The missile reportedly left a huge 10-meter wide or 33-feet crater 57 miles from Poland's border with Ukraine. It came as Russia launched a huge ballistic missile and drone barrage across Ukraine. Officials say that 10 lives were claimed, while more than 50 others were injured. The alliance's Secretary General said it was yet another reckless act by Russia and a dangerous consequence of its war against Ukraine. Mr. Tusk, who visited the site where the missile landed in the Lublin province, said it was a very serious incident. However, he stressed that there are absolutely no reasons to believe that Poland was the target. Goes on further to report that a NATO spokesperson said as well as the fighter jets, an attack helicopter, and 2 other aircraft were scrambled in response to the missile alert, while ground defenses were also activated. This is exactly what I have been warning about. Here we have a missile, not any missile, not just a normal missile, but a Russian cruise missile capable of carrying a nuclear warhead explode into a field in Poland. Now, thank God nobody was hurt. Thank God there were no casualties.
Thank God. Thank God. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, I mean, this is war. People gonna die, and that's judgment from the Lord. I would never say thank God that these people didn't die from the light. Shut up, now. That ain't that. You shouldn't be never saying nothing like that. If they die, then shit, that's judgment from the Lord. You got blown up by a missile. Anyway, I'm done with this video. I don't want to. Damn sure I ain't gonna play 15 minutes of this shit. Yeah, I'm already an hour in with my video. But if you want to watch the rest of it, there go the title of the video. There go the channel. And every other video I play, you can do the same thing by looking at the title, if you can see it, and the title of the video or the title of the channel. Anyway, let's wrap it up. But first, before I wrap it up, let me get some more scriptures in. Isaiah chapter 9 verse 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Like ancient times of fighting was close up face to face with swords and shields. Now this one here is gone. This war, this modern day war, is involving missiles and such. Yep. And they require jet fuel to be burned, rocket fuel to be burned, whatever the hell it is. They call it to make it launch and hit their targets. Yeah. And when they hit the targets, that shit burns because they blow up and it flames. The explosion, it explodes in flames and all. You know how explosions go. Anyway, and big bursts of flames and such. Yeah, but that's all these people are using. Missiles and rockets and all that stuff. And hell, nukes ain't been... The nukes are talked about, but they're not being used yet. But it soon will be. What else we got? Let me see... And oh yeah, Lord, Yahweh Shema Shah, they got all these nations gathered together out in the land, air, sea, getting ready for war, already getting a little bit active with their war. And I don't know what else to tell you. I'm gonna go ahead and read this. Isaiah chapter 13 verse 4. The noise of the multitude in the mountains, like as of a great people, the tumultuous noise of kingdoms, of nations gathered together for World War III. The Lord Yahweh of hosts mustered the hosts of the battle. So the Lord is bringing these people together, all these nations together, to fight with one another and kill each other. And all we got to do is just sit back and watch. I wouldn't even say sit back because we ain't gonna be chilling, but I don't know where we all of us gonna be. But I just pray for mercy and strength to endure, because it's gonna get wild out here while World War III going on. It's gonna be lights out, water ain't coming out the faucet. It's gonna be famine, lack of bread. It's gonna be all craziness going on worldwide. And then plus they're gonna be pushing up chip implants too. Where I left off at. And they come from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord Yahweh, and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land. I'll stop right there. What else we got? Oh yeah, drafting. They talking about drafting. Government prepares for a simulation of military draft. So it's a simulation of how will the drafting will look like in the United States. So you getting prepped up and ready for that to see how that shit gonna turn out. You know they gonna be faced with some kind of resistance. Why they trying to snatch up people off the streets? So I don't know how their method gonna be when it comes to drafting. It's gonna get to that point, just like what's happening in Ukraine. We see some able-bodied man over there. They don't give a fuck how old they are. Over in Ukraine, that motherfucker be walking with a cane. It could be an 80-year-old man. Your ass going out in that field, man, to fight. Shit, they don't give a fuck. They do that shit to their own damn people. Ain't that some shit? What else we got? Ain't much. Let me see. Did I read this? Read on. Damn, what? Did I read this? No, I didn't. I can't read that one. Can't read that one. Well, anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. Yeah, I'll just try to keep it update on what's going on in the world when it comes to this war and conflicts with all these nations fighting with one another, and just keeping it, how you say it, spiritual, or pretty much tying with the scriptures to my best ability. But that's all I got to say and show. But seek the Lord by seeking his prophets, and take heed what to say, and try to build a spiritual mental relationship with Yahweh Shema Shah by praying Yahweh Shema Shah, praising Yahweh Shema Shah, worshiping Yahweh Shema Shah, fearing Yahweh Shema Shah, and repenting to Yahweh Shema Shah. To all the men out there pushing this truth and none but the truth, in the name, spirit, and the power of Yahweh Shema Shah. Keep on preach, keep on teach, keep your faith and trust strong, Yahweh Shema Shah. Stay humble. And for you few sisters out there taking heed, keep your faith and trust strong, Yahweh Shema Shah. Stay humble, stay in order with your man. If you ain't got no man, stay in order, Yahweh Shema Shah. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect, and all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Shalom.